Going to record. All right, awesome. All right, we're good. So everyone, this is Brett Lavelle. He's the CEO of WEVO Tribes. Brett has been traveling the world, just making awesome connections with people and doing awesome things. And so I'm just going to let him talk because he's very good at it. And so without further ado, I'm just going to shut up and let him have it.
Hey, brother, thanks so much. And hopefully we can have a little bit of dialogue and maybe just talk about things that are relevant for you and of course, for the viewers and listeners. But, I had a great meeting with John King today. John King is the author of Tribal Leadership. I've been speaking with John Leslie Brown. John Leslie Brown is a world-renowned best-selling author and 2018 candidate for governor of California, and both those guys are in Tribe with us and just world thought leaders. And what I've been telling people is Tribe. It's very necessary that Tribe becomes a verb, and it's important that that happens now, but it's even more important in the next 5 years. And what I mean by that is, right now people are chasing what they think the success formula for life is based on what they feel new is. And I have to say, they're ways behind what most people think is new. Innovators and thought leaders already know is very old. Okay. What is really new but grounded in timeless principle is the concept of a thriving culture of tribe. And there are different parts and pieces that make that happen. And so if you're cool with it, buddy, I'd like to just maybe you and I have a little dialogue about that and chat and tell the viewers and the listeners what that's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know one thing for me was, when I first met you, I was, we basically sat down and had similar conversations. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going around trying to see what value I can add to the world. And then you start talking and you're like, well, I'm just going around to see what type of value I can add to the world. And we're like, you just took the ideas out of my head and made them make a lot more sense and built bring about a system around it.
Sure. Yeah, and you're very accurate in that. A lot of people resonate with what you and I believe. They understand it. They realize that it is important. What they have lacked is the new knowledge, the systems, the model, the platform to put it into play in a way that's sustainable, that helps them to get what they want while they're helping others get what they want and making the world better at the same time. So what you typically hear whenever someone goes out to serve humanity is they go, man, I've been giving, I've been helping people, but it just seems that it doesn't come back. Well, that's because you're playing by rules in a game that you can't win at. You have to create a new game. You have to create the game of tribe. You have to create awareness inside of that tribe. And you've got to have a way or a model in order to do that, to make it sustainable and make it fruitful. People don't know how to collaborate. They don't know how to reciprocate. They think they do. And as you've seen me quoted before, it's not what people don't know that's keeping them from success. It's what they already do know that is keeping them from success.
Exactly.
So what Tribe does is help create a clearing or a culture, an environment, an ecosystem where everyone becomes aware of how to collaborate together and win. And it's not a zero-sum game. It's a win-win game. And it's important that it's a win-win game in order for it to last.
Absolutely. One of the things that you have an acronym, and I'll let you talk more about that later. But at the end of that acronym, you leave it open to us. You said, this is where you make this platform become what you need it to be. And so one of the things that I saw that was needed was two things actually, but what I'm going to talk about is what I saw that was needed was just a collective working towards a certain goal for a certain reason. And what I mean by that is I was sitting in a mastermind one day and we is all working on a business, the same business, but each one of us individually. And I'm like, there's so many different steps to this business. If we all just combined our energy and worked on the same goal, we would leave this house in way better shape than we would by working our own individual goal. So I'm like, we need a collective to say, okay, what is the final goal? The final goal is to get us all out financially free. So let's all combine our energy and head towards that goal. So
Yeah.
that's sort of where I put my, tweak in your platform at.
No, I love it. And you're very accurate in that, Samuel. You've always been very wise in building tribe and collaboration, and that's why you and I hit it off so well. And it can go even further than that. And I'll be so bold to say this, that, and I really hope people hear this, arithmetic is not going to give you what you desire in your life. You're going to need to create leverage and exponential multiplication to get what you want in your life. And here's why. If you're doing one by one, meaning you put in an hour to get an hour of work, or you meet a potential client to possibly get a client, you are going to be so far left behind that you won't have a prayer of catching up. And so the key to this collaboration is to create exponential growth to outrun the change in technology that we have. It's predicted a lot of the Fortune 500 will go away because they simply won't keep up with our advancement in technology. They won't have the knowledge, the skill, the people to adapt and change with the technology. Now, if the brightest minds in corporate America, those companies are going to go away, then what about the majority of America and the rest of the world that is an individual, a solopreneur, a professional, or a small business that does not have the budget or the expertise that these brilliant minds have? Well, the answer, the solution, is they need collaborative effort to create exponential growth to outrun technology changes. And where most people, again, I'll say it again, where most people think they're adapting the new paradigm, they're actually adapting one that's very old to thought leaders. Thought leaders are already 5 years ahead, developing the next play.
Oh, wow. That's powerful. You talk a lot about the real secret. Can you give us a brief explanation of what that is and why that matters to, tribe?
That's a great question. Of course, we like to say that successful people know how to ask great questions. And so that's a very, very good question. And here's what it boils down to. The success formula is fragmented at best. And people are reaching for, if I do this, then I get X. Well, if all the information that's out there is so accurate for creating success, then why are so many people struggling? Why statistically do we have 300,000 deaths per year from childhood obesity? Why statistically can only 5% of America actually fund a comfortable retirement in their elder years, 65 plus? Why is it that 63% of America will be dependent upon charity if the success formula that has been taught is so accurate? So we started diving into concepts of the law of attraction, of really gathering and bringing and manifesting into your life the things that you want. And that came out, and it was really part of the formula. And then I started looking at it and saying, wait a minute, I have practically applied these 8 steps. And to me, they were the real secret to getting what I wanted. And so I coined it the real secret. And what they are is they're 8 steps or a formula that are 4 inner actions. They're 4 internal actions, and then 4 interactions, how we show up and interact with the world. And it's a combination of mental and physical action. It's not just mental. You don't just think your way to success. There are steps involved. And in a microwave society, in a 140 character society, in a 7-second attention span society, people want things quickly. But how does never sound, right?
Right.
Let's forget about quickly. Let's just say, let's just get there. And so I developed, not by theory, but by practical application, 8 steps that I call the real secret, that really help an individual go from A to Z and start attracting to themselves more of what they desire while helping others to do the same and contributing to the planet at the same time.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Which one is out of those 8? Which one is your favorite?
Authentic leadership.
Why is that?
Humility, accountability, and responsibility. Even though it's the 5th step and the 5th DNA, it really begins with an awareness to become an authentic leader, but not just become, to consistently sustain authentic leadership. Okay. Now, the steps prior, the first 4 steps, which is awareness, clarity of dreams, definiteness of purpose, and wellness, those 4 interactions lead to authentic leadership. But by far my favorite is taking full responsibility for your life and everything around you, being accountable not only to yourself, but the people you impact and your planet, and being humble while you do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how does Tribe impact local communities?
Well, local communities are they're a part of a subsector of the great community, right? Which could be your city, your state, your country, your planet. And we're bound by the rules of those environments. So culturally, economically, market conditions, we're bound by that. What Tribe does is, through a set of principles and values, through an awareness, it creates this concept that the parts create the whole, and the whole is a sum of the parts. And so when we come to that awareness and we have agreements, we can create a culture of collaboration. We can create a culture of empowerment. We can create a culture of support and positivity, but not numbing ourselves to real issues and negativity, okay? But a culture of positivity. By doing that, we actually influence a microeconomy. And in the microeconomy, what you have is you have the ability to help people with the 4 things they desire most. Now, I learned this through a lot of study, through a lot of research, but the biggest piece of research was being face-to-face with well over now probably 1,500 plus individuals, from solopreneur to single mom to small business to corporation, okay? And as I asked people, what is it that you really, truly desire in life? I found there were 4 things that people want. They want belonging. Tribe answers that, okay? They want attainments. They want things, money, lifestyle, or basic necessities met, okay? They want to do that. They want to be happy while they do it, consciously. Sometimes subconsciously, there might be some blocks that need to be overcome in the area of happiness. And they want to be free from the stress or worry of the everyday battles that people typically are going through. And so if they could have belonging, attainment, happiness, and inner peace, then they're achieving in general what most people want. And Tribe helps that to accomplish that in the local community, when individuals start to come together and say, hey, let's agree to better humanity, to better collaboration, to supporting each other, and to achieving our goals independently as well as collectively.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this, because here's what most, 95% of people go through is, I've been going up the change, whether it's in my career and life and family or whatever. I've been going up, but there's always something that seems to pull me down. And so how do we get off that cycle, or is that just life?
Well, it is life. It's both, okay? So again, great question. It's actually both, brother. So life is going to be life.
Uh-huh.
Right? And what most people are doing is they're in a scenario where they allow the tail to wag the dog. That's not the natural order of things. The dog wags the tail. Is life dictating to you, or are you dictating to life? Is circumstance dictating you, or are you dictating circumstance? And people go, well, Brett, that sounds really cliche and really good, but how do you do that? It's real simple. If 2 hands are pulling you down, make sure you have 10 hands pulling you up, right? That's what tribe does. If you have banned and bound yourself in tribe, it's still living real life, and all of real life exists. But imagine doing it, and why I call tribe a verb. I want to move it from a noun to a verb, is because when we understand the accurate thought, activity, and habit of tribe, we realize it becomes our responsibility to lift people up that are being pulled down. We realize that it becomes our that we're accountable to that for one logical reason, if for no other reason, and that is the well-being of the tribe, because the tribe will only be as strong as its weakest parts. So I know that if my hand is sick, then my body is sick, right?
Right.
In the concept of tribe, I know that if you're being pulled down by life, rather than me just send you a message saying, hey, buddy, I hope you get all that worked out, it actually becomes a proactive approach to helping you get it all worked out. Now, you might say, well, how could you do that? Because there's so much need. Well, the bigger the tribe gets, the more resources, the more abundance, the more awareness, the less drama, the less pulling down.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ecosystem that creates less of life's circumstance and more of life's support. That's the concept of tribe.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting because it's like instead of trying to run away from the pain, embrace the pain, but put barriers around you that would take some of the pain from you, because the pain is always going to be there.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. But I
And
think,
in
uh
addition, go ahead.
and I think your perception of what is putting you down is another one of those blocks as well. It's like my car crashed today, so I have a bad day, or my week is ruined. Well, that's your mentality bringing you down to that level.
Oh,
So
exactly.
so yeah, that's just one more reason to have people around you to kind of get over your own mental blocks.
That's exactly right. And to part of the first DNA of WEVO, which is awareness, one of the biggest areas that people can create awareness in is embracing the natural law of cause and effect, and understanding that whenever you're feeling struggle, pain, discomfort, strife, there's a reason for it. There's some reason you did something or you're doing something. And the reason you're doing it is because you're governed by an even bigger law, which is hypnotic rhythm, that everything you've perceived through your 6 senses, intuition included, that everything you've perceived from the time you've been perceiving, which is up to debate by different people's beliefs, have created subconscious neural pathways or hypnotic rhythms. This is what I refer to when I talk about people. It's not what people don't know that's keeping them from success. It's what they already do know that is keeping them from success. So if we don't become consciously aware of the triggers, i.e. struggle or strife or discomfort, that are telling us, hey, you may want to take your hand off the burner because it's burning your skin, okay? That indicator is there to teach you not to put your hand on the hot burner. Now, the longer you keep your hand there, the more damage it's going to do, okay? But if you don't become aware of cause and effect and the measurement of it, and you just keep putting your hand on the burner because you have subconsciously created that program, it's going to continue to damage your hand. And people go, well, Brett, that's just silly. No one in their right mind does that. And the answer is, you're absolutely correct. No one in their right mind does that. In their subconscious mind, they do it all the time.
Oh man, that's awesome. So you have this. You mentioned before that you talked to about 5,500 people. So 5,500 people face to face.
Yeah.
How did you get started doing that?
Okay, I'm trying to follow 5,500 people face to face.
You said you sat down and had conversations with people face to face about
Oh,
5,000.
oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, the 1,500 that I,
1,500. Okay.
yeah, that I've personally sat down with. Um, I have a formula for that. People ask me all the time, how do I get started building tribe? And there are obviously two ways. You do it on your own, or you use a model or a system or a platform like WEVO. Okay, but let's just keep WEVO out of it for now. Let's just say Joe Brown wants to go out and create tribe. Well, here's the thing. We live in a very digital world, connectivity and communication at the speed of thought. However, your eyes and your ears will deceive you. What most people think and feel is that somehow, with 7+ billion people on the planet, all trying to build marketing funnels, that they're going to build the one cool mousetrap that's going to get all these people coming to them. Now, if you have the budget and the expertise, you can do that. What about everybody else? And if it was really easy to do, then big companies like Geico wouldn't spend millions of dollars to do it. Okay? So, what is my option? What is your option as a small business or a solopreneur or a professional that wants to go out and meet face to face and build tribe? And here's where the world has a lot of paradigm shifting to do. Okay? People are getting into the digital world to create more communication and connectivity than shielding themselves from communication and connectivity. And a double-minded house or a double-minded entity is unstable in all of its ways. If you want exposure and connectivity, you got to be open to exposure and connectivity. If you want love, you got to be open to giving love. If you want friendship, you got to be open to giving friendship. If you want beets, you got to plant beets in the ground, right? So what I ask people to do is to open up their world. Don't put yourself in a castle and shield all of the noise, because you're going to add to it in a moment. Right? So first of all, you got to be an open vessel to communication. Then secondly, you got to begin the communication. What I advise people to do is on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Shaper, as you know I teach, whatever platform, doesn't really matter, but reach out and engage a person one-on-one through direct messaging. Direct messaging is the secret sauce of social media. People ask me all the time, what if people don't respond? They're not my tribe. They're not in my game. They're not there, right? I can't control someone responding. But I reach out, Sam, as you know, and I have one qualification when I reach out, and that is to make the conversation 100% about serving, supporting, helping, and valuing the other person. By doing that, I get a percentage of responses that want to sit down, take the conversation further and deeper, and turn digital contact into real connection. And that is where magic really happens. Unless you have the money or expertise to make it happen another way, which most people don't, they're going to need to follow this concept of what I call a biz dev pro, or someone who's just out there as an ambassador building tribe.
Absolutely. Now, how can people learn more about this BizDev Pro?
Go to wevotribes.com, WEVO tribes.com. When they fill out the form, which creates the free membership at first, then they see some information about level 2, 3, and 4. And level 3 is where we train the BizDev Pro. Level 2 is where we actually train high vibing, thriving tribe. So whether people use our model or they take the information and go build their own model, what we encourage is that people exist and build under the big model of WEVO tribes, because why would you want to decrease the size of your tribe and the effectiveness? So it's just logical you would do that. But what we really want people to do is take the accountability, responsibility to become authentic leaders and surround themselves and build and foster and create their own tribe, right? And
Right.
then when we're all doing that, and we've got high vibing, thriving tribes all over the world, we actually create and establish a new universal language and a new universal culture that we can cross geographic boundaries or cross racial boundaries or cross any type of boundary that society has built, and have common language and common ground, which is what I saw in one of your brilliant posts. But creating that common ground where people can coexist long enough together to actually collaborate and create something new for the future.
Okay, awesome. Let me ask you this one last question, and then I'm going to just let you talk about anything else that we didn't cover. So we have all these different types of currencies out there. We got dollars, we got euros, we got Bitcoin, you know, cyber currency, all that stuff. What is this currency called influence, and what does that mean?
Well, first of all, it's the one that you can create and control where you cannot in any other currency on earth. Social influence is the one that you get to play a role in and have a factor in. It's not manipulated. It's not tainted. It is earned by the only thing that you can protect on this earth, which is your authenticity. By your authenticity, you can create social influence, which is a currency that you can cash in to achieve your dreams. Okay? Because here's what it is. You're going to grow two things. You're going to grow quantity of tribe, and you're going to grow quality of tribe. And both are a mathematical formula to creating a return on investment in your life and in your business. You create the quantity through connection and connectivity, or through contact and communication and connectivity. You create the quality through engagement and interaction, how you show up as a human being. So humble, authentic, accountable, and responsible. To what? To understanding and knowing clearly your self-interest. Number two, learning, understanding, and knowing the self-interest of the person you interact with. Number three, knowing the self-interest of the planet that we live on. If you can be mindful in every interaction to be responsible and accountable to those three things, the resonance of that is going to create influence, because people want to know that they're loved, that they're cared for, and that they matter to you. That is where trust comes from. That is where social influence comes from. So I'll just end with this on that question, is that I define social influence as this. People listen to what you say, they act on what you say, they tell others what you say, and get others to act on what you say. Now you start to tie in how you can go from arithmetic, 1 + 1 = 2, to multiplication and exponential growth, because it's not all of your effort and energy doing the work. It's the collective doing the work. And that's why you want to build social influence.
Oh, wow. Wow. Nice. So someone's listening to this and they're like, oh my gosh, so how do I get started building my tribe? Like what do I need to do? What tools do I need?
Well, they really need to go through the 8 WEVO DNA. Honestly, Sam, you know, I've said this before many times. They're not just 8 cute principles. I was looking for something to sell, right?
Right.
They're 8 steps of life that I really, honestly, with purity, wanted to reduce into a format that people could say, okay, become aware. What does become aware mean? Take responsibility for your life. Start to look around. Know the score. Let's test and measure. What thoughts have been serving me? What thoughts haven't? Right? And then clarity of dreams. Do you really truly know what you want? Or are you still living a life based on what programs and perceptions have put on you to want? You know, Johnny wants to be an artist, but his parents program him to be a doctor. And then at age 40, he wonders why he's so miserable, because he's not really living his life. He's living someone else's, right? So we ask people to get clear on this and then to define their purpose. And there's so much confusion around that. People are asking, but Brett, I've been trying for years to figure out my purpose. And I go, that's because you're overthinking it. You don't understand. Here's your purpose. Whatever you put your time, money, and energy towards, whatever you put your time, money, and energy towards to create your dreams, that's your purpose. Don't over spiritual, don't make it some mystical thing. Where are you going to put your time, money, and energy to get the biggest return on life? And consequently, it will probably match your spirituality. Okay? You gravitated towards it for a reason. So when people go through the DNA, Sam, they learn the steps to take to get their own internal alignment dialed in, so that they can go out into the world to interact, to create tribe, and then in that tribe create influence, and with that influence cash that in for not only their dreams, but the dreams of the people around them and the dream of the planet to be a better place.
All right, awesome. Wow. Any last thoughts that you want to just throw out there to wrap it up? I mean, we appreciate your time and your insight.
Brother, of course, I love you and appreciate you too. And nothing more than what I have nothing to add other than what you would want me to be on the interview to add, and just to tell people that, hey, we can do this. We can do it together. And you don't have to be alone. You don't have to be without belonging. You don't have to give up your attainments. You don't have to give up being who you are. I think one of the most important things we can do in tribe is to allow people to be whom they are, with an invite to evolve. Let's quit judging and criticizing and complaining and condemning, and just allow people to be free. What does that mean? Free from our expectation, judgment, manipulation, or control of who they should be. If you have a product or a service to sell, let the value of the product or service and the authenticity of you be the marketing vehicle. It's not about creating the best headline, the best color, the best video. Man, I'll create video and people will go, well, Brett, you need to do that in a professional studio with $10,000 camera equipment and audio. And I go, actually, I just want people to see me. And because that's the only place I'm not going to compete with $1 million budgets.
Right.
Because no one is going to be me like I am. Right?
Absolutely.
So Sam, the last thing I want to leave people with is you're beautiful. You're amazing the way you are. You're free to be who you are. Just surround yourself with people that understand and embrace the idea of tribe, so that you're not falling down off that chair every time a little bump happens. You've got 10 people pulling you up.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Brett Lavelle from WEVO Tribes, personal friend of mine, and just an all-around great guy. He has traveled the world, and definitely when he leaves town, people know. And when he's in town, they definitely know. So they seek him out.
Thanks,
all right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this. If you don't mind sticking around for a second, Brett.
Sure. You bet. Thanks, Sam.